Hi guys, I hope you're all well and welcome to episode 118 of the James Layton Fitness Podcast. So in this specific episode we'll be discussing what you should do if you're new to the gym and you have goals of losing body fat. And I think the first and most critical consideration we need to think about is just realizing that adherence and consistency are the most important factors within the fat loss phase. And the reason why that's so important is I think a lot of people that dive into the gym, they almost try and do too much to begin with. They try and go 5-6 days a week, they completely slash their calories, and within a few weeks or sometimes within a few days they've given up because they've almost tried to make it too difficult from the start. But my suggestion would actually be to focus on less days training to begin with. Focus on smaller changes that you can start building momentum with over a few weeks, and then you can start making things more optimal down the road. But realizing that adherence and consistency are the most important factors, it just allows you to start thinking about what you can start doing now that you can actually stick with for a decent period of time. Because if you can't do that, there's no point even starting. So if you're considering trying to go all out 5-6 days a week, completely slash the calories, you're just not going to be able to stick with it consistently over a long period of time. So that would be my suggestion, would be to really focus on less days training, focus on building momentum, getting some consistency, getting some results, and then you can build on that by making things more optimal, adding in more days training, start to be more specific with your nutrition, and that will, in my opinion, yield much better results. Secondly, I think we just need to appreciate that we have two main goals within the fat loss phase, and that is to obviously lose body fat and to maintain as much muscle mass as possible within the fat loss phase. And that therefore dictates that because of that second objective of maintaining as much muscle mass as possible, that therefore means we must have weight training as the foundation of our routine within the fat loss phase to preserve as much muscle mass as possible. This is one of the biggest ways people go wrong when starting a fat loss phase if they're new to train. They immediately jump to the treadmill, they assume that they need to burn as many calories as they can on there, and don't get me wrong, we do need to be burning calories to create the energy deficit needed for fat loss, but we must have weight training as the main component of our routine within the fat loss phase, and then we're merely decreasing calories and or adding in more cardio to create the energy deficit needed for fat loss. So weight training first, and then you're using cardio and also dropping calories is really tools to create the energy deficit and also to bust through fat loss plateaus. And as I alluded to earlier, focusing on less days training to begin with will certainly allow you to start building some consistency, because it's slightly easier to stick to. It should allow you to gain some momentum, and then you can start making things more challenging further down the road. So suggest a 3 or 4 day weight training routine to begin with. So if you did a 3 day per week routine, you could do a full body routine. If you did a 4 day per week routine, you could do an upper lower. If you type in those names into Google, you'll be able to get some sample templates that you can actually start implementing it immediately. The next thing to consider is the nutrition component. I'd suggest finding an online calculator online to calculate your calorie, protein, carbohydrate and fat targets. The reason why with regards to nutrition within the fat loss phase, the daily nutrition targets are really what dictates whether you lose body fat, gain weight or stay the same. Having these daily nutrition targets is really the most important factor within the fat loss phase, because that will have a significant impact on whether we're either creating the energy deficit needed for fat loss at the end of the day, the end of the week, the end of the month, staying at maintenance or in a energy surplus. So I would suggest using an online calculator and then plug these into an app called MyFitnessPal, which is basically a free application to track your food intake. Now it's important to note that these online calculators are not 100% accurate, but that does not matter. That's not the point of them. The point of these calculators are to give you a starting point to work from. It's really important to note that your nutrition targets need to be manipulated within the fat loss phase to bust through fat loss plateaus, and therefore these targets are going to be changing anyway. So as such, use the online calculator to get a starting point, and then you can make manipulations to these figures subject to your progress. Finally, I would suggest a small amount of cardio to begin with. Regards to the cardio and calories, again, they'll be manipulated within the fat loss phase subject to progress, but a good starting point is to add HIIT session, high intensity interval training sessions at the end of all of your weight training sessions. So if you're doing 3 sessions, add 3 HIIT sessions at the end of each session. If you're doing 4 days per week, you could have 4 HIIT sessions at the end of each weight training session. One strategy I implement with a lot of my coaching clients is just 30 seconds work, 30 seconds rest, repeat. So you could do that on the treadmill, going as hard as possible, 30 seconds, rest 30 seconds, then repeat for 10 to 15 minutes. You could do that on the rower, the bike. You could even set up a bodyweight circuit. You could do a kettlebell circuit or something called barbell complexes, where you're rotating between different weighting exercises using light weights, relatively high reps, using that same work to rest ratio. So in short, you just need to appreciate that the cardio sessions are just merely a tool to burn calories. We're not athletes, we're not looking to improve sporting performance within the context of the fat loss phase, and therefore just see cardio as just a tool to burn more calories. Obviously, if you are an athlete or if you are looking to improve sporting performance, this obviously doesn't apply to you. Once you've got all those components in place, the nutrition targets, the weight training, some cardio, then it's a case of focusing on 0.5 to 1% weight loss per week. The reason why is this will allow you to maintain a lot of muscle mass within the fat loss phase. Again, that's what we're striving for, losing body fat, maintaining as much muscle mass as possible. And then it's a case of merely just making manipulations to your cardio and or your calories when you reach a fat loss plateau. So as soon as you don't reach that 0.5 to 1% weight loss target, that's your cue to manipulate calories by dropping them and or increasing cardio. If you look back at some of my previous podcasts and videos on YouTube, you'll learn more of the specifics of the exact changes to make to bust through these fat loss plateaus. But hopefully this should give you a good overview of how you should start a fat loss phase if you're new to the gym. Again, focusing on adherence and consistency first, which really means focusing on making things as simple as possible. Less days training, not making too many dramatic changes to begin with. Build some momentum after implementing these changes for a few weeks, then you can start making things more optimal down the road. So hopefully that's been useful. If you've still yet to download my free ebook, How to Set Up a Nutrition Plan, if you go to James Layton, Layton fitness.co.uk, you'll see a tab at the top of the page called free ebook, and you can download that immediately. I look forward to speaking to you next week. Take care.